Greetings, you're welcome to join us in this special edition, and today we shall be featuring the Executive President of the Cameroon National Baptist Convention, the CNBC. And we want to say you're all welcome to join us. Sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We are glad to have you here today. Can you briefly tell us who you are?
Yes, I am also happy to be here, and I'm grateful for this occasion. I am called Suuh Joel Ngong. If you care, you could say Reverend Suuh Joel Ngong. I was the Executive President of CNBC since 2016.
When you say the Executive President of the CNBC, what does the CNBC stand for?
It stands for Cameroon National Baptist Convention.
Okay.
And as a president, I was born in Abu. Abu is one of the villages in Kom, in Fundong subdivision, Boyo. That's where I was born sometime in 1971. And I grew up with my parents, and I schooled at a primary school, GS Mijang.
That's in
Bello subdivision. Because one of my uncles, who happened to have been a teacher, he took me there and I lived with him.
Let's briefly talk about that. When did you go to primary school?
I went to primary school in 1981.
Okay.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
And then
That was some 42 years ago.
yeah. I think, I don't remember, but I know that the day I went to the Cameroon to the primary school when the last locust, when it came to come, I think it was 1979, 1979, 80, something like that.
Okay.
I was in class 1 by then. And when I completed, I attended the then GSS Fundong, Government Secondary School Fundong. I came to GSS Fundong, and I think that was in 1985-86 academic year.
Okay.
And completed in 1990. I passed my O-levels with 5 papers. By then there was no high school in the Boyo division, so I had to move to GHS Womb.
Yeah.
I went down to GHS Womb. Unfortunately, high school was given in Fundong in November, when I had already begun school. While in GHS Womb, I had some difficulties because I had to switch from the history that I did in secondary school to another history that they were doing in Womb. They called it European history. While in GHS Fundong, I did only world affairs. So I had difficulties, so I had to repeat the lower 6. But finally I got my A-levels with 3 papers. That's economics, geography, history. I did A2.
In which particular year did you get your A-levels?
1993.
1993. Okay.
I think 92, 93, because our results really delayed. It was during the political upheavals.
Okay.
Our results came back around. So our results were published towards December like that, due to the crisis. So I had my history, geography, and economics.
So, upon getting your A-levels, what was the next step?
I really engaged in doing many things. I wrote some concours.
Some of which were?
Like the teacher training, then the nurse aid. I could not succeed. So I stayed at home for some time, doing some odd jobs.
Like?
I taught in a CBC school Abu between 1996 and 98. Then I taught in Baptist School Ili between 1998 to 99. And while teaching, I did some odd jobs too with the Asian mountain forest. I worked with a department that was called livelihood. It was we engaged in beekeeping, medicinal plants, medicinal plants. We could get honey, and then we produce wine from it. Then we could get the wax, produce a candle. We could get the wax, produce a robin oil, Vaseline, very special Vaseline, which was also medicinal Vaseline. So I worked under the supervision of Madame Tim Grace in Fundong, who was an agri-technician. So we worked towards Vicovi and all those places. And when I had the call to go to the seminary in 2000, then I left for CBTS Ndu.
Yeah, before coming to talk about the call to go to CBTS Ndu, why do you think you failed all the concours you wrote?
Well, I don't understand. Maybe it was not God's call for me. It was not God's design. Or maybe I did not pass. And at that time, there was a lot of bribery in Cameroon. It's something I don't even count that it was the reason. I just know that I did not pass.
Now, can you say it was God's plan that you didn't succeed? Or in other words, are you happy being where you are today?
I am very, very happy because during that time, a teacher training was open, I think in Womb. And one of the delegates, Mr. Tozuchi Lambert, he was a personal friend. He wanted me to just go in, and I refused. And then my performance at the gym project was very good, and they gave me a scholarship to go to Fonta for further training. Fonta is in Bamenda, around Bambui. So I needed to go there. There's an agri school there under the supervision of the Presbyterians. So they gave me a scholarship of 1 million to go there for a training of 8 months. I refused, and I told them I wanted to go to the seminary. The director, Dr. Fonga, was very, very discouraged. But when I refused, I gave the scholarship to one of my friends, who was Isaac. Okay. So he went to Fonta, which in my position. We were friends. Even the things that I learned, most of those things, I could do a bit of grafting. I could get honey and produce 20 liters of wine, very strong wine. I could get the wax, and then I produce a candle, produce Vaseline, I produce a neutral polish, and so those are the things that I did. And one rub that people will rub for body pain. Okay. So I did those things with Mzankai Isaac. So when the scholarship was given to me, I passed it to him. And the people did not reject because they had been coming to Abu and seeing me with working with Mzankai. Okay. Yeah.
Now, let's go to talk about your seminary life. You said after you failed this concourse, you had the scholarships, you turned them down and you went to the seminary in Ndu. So let's begin from that time when you had the call. You know, how did the call come?
Well, between 1997, when I was in Bingo, I had a sense to do God's work. I did it with Reverend Yem Nicodemus, who is now in the field pastor of Limbe, the CBC field pastor of Limbe. So we decided to go for a training, the campus crusade. And when we went for that training, we went on our own. Our church did not sponsor us. While at the training, one Reverend Biang of blessed memory saw us and was asking, how have you people been here? Who has sent you? Because we came from one association, the Bingo Association. We said we needed to come for this training. He asked, who has sponsored you people? We said, no, we have sponsored ourselves. He paid, he reimbursed our money, 2,000 francs at that time. I was there with Reverend Yem, who is the field pastor now. And after the reimbursement, we did the training. And from that training, I talked with Reverend Yem, we said we should go to the seminary in Nigeria. Okay. But other things did not work, favor us. But Pastor Yem went there and things did not work. He came back and continued in Ndu. Okay. So he really went to seminary in Ndu before me, and then I followed. Okay. Yeah.
So Let's begin. In which particular year did you go to Ndu? And let's talk about that first day in class.
I went to Ndu in 2001 academic year. Well, it was not such a strange thing to me, because, by the way, I had worked in church with Reverend Mundama David of blessed memory. He moved with me, went with me to places since I was a Sunday school teacher. I think I taught Sunday school for 4 years every Sunday. Okay. And people almost, 52 days times 4. Yes, people almost nicknamed me. People are calling me pastor, but I've never been a pastor anyway. Okay. So I was just doing that, and when I said I was going to the seminary, he accepted. 208 days experience. Yes, so I taught, and occasionally I preach, and I even led some spiritual groups in the church, like the Golden Star. I could go to Aba with the Golden Star, go to Fungom, go to Yemge. We traveled all those places and did ministry back here in Com. There is no district that I never went with the group Golden Star for ministry. So, time in Ndu, how did you spend the time there? While in Ndu, I concentrated in my studies, and occasionally I could preach in the church where I was worshiping. That was G-Top. That was the church I attended. I didn't get involved in so many things in the seminary. I would only go to class, come to my dormitory, do what I'm supposed to do, and go back to class. And what did you read there? I did a BA in theology. Yes, a BA in theology, and which was generally the pastoral ministry. Was generally pastoral ministry. Now, before we close this part of your life, talking about Suuh Joel as a person before coming to the Reverend and the EP, now, who was this young man that was growing up in those days? Was he that kind of a very calm, simple, easy to go young man in the quarters? Was he that kind of a ruffian? Is there an old life you had that you abandoned before you came into this thing? No, I wasn't really like that way. Sometimes I really describe myself as to have grown up as a moralist, because the teacher I stayed with was a disciplinarian, and he had strong discipline values. So I grew up with him as somebody who was really morally good. I am not saying that I was a Christian, but I was really a moral person. I never did things that were rough. I never behaved like a rough boy, but I was a moral, quiet, and calm person. So Christianity did not come like a fight. So it naturally just transited from my moral life and my good way of life to accept Jesus Christ. Now, this one EP. Which is the funniest thing you did as a young man that whenever you think about it, you are like, come on, God, what happened? Okay, as during the time I sold in I operated an engine, a grinding mill. Yes, I operated an engine, the grinding mill, about 2 years. Then I sold in a bar. Okay, the funniest thing that I experienced and something I laugh is that while I sold in that bar, there were 2 rooms in the bar. I could, if it was late in the night, I could sleep in one of the rooms. So people really thought that they could come rent the rooms, get people's wives and get people's children, go in there. I didn't permit that. But the funny thing that happened is that sometimes when those people came and sat around in the bar, somebody would sit and the wife would sit, but another person would be sponsoring the wine that is given to him. And when they do like that, I also had some proceeds out of it. Yes, because it can give the person 2 bottles of wine, and then the husband will also give, and another person will be giving, and at the end I will gain 1. Though since I was so morally brought up, I didn't drink. Maybe I will sell it and get the money as my money. That's where my benefits. those are crooked things that and sometimes they are funny. Sometimes I laugh at people that, but how can people be sitting, you think that you are here with your wife and another person is giving the person wine? Those are the funny things that will happen in bars.
Now, talk about your family life. Let's hear about your family life.
Yes, my father was popularly called Fair, and if you care in our village, they call him Wildlife. And he was a husband to about 8 wives, so our compound was large. My mother was the 4th of the 8 wives, and I cannot tell the number of children in our compound. We approximate 60, because they will grow up, children from the compound will grow up and still give birth to children, and they are just children from our compound. So they will be approximately 60, and we were in groups. I think I felt about the 5th group of some people. So my mother gave birth to 7 of us. I'm the second in our family, though the first died. So I take the lead, and the others are still there. We have 2 girls and then 4 boys. Then after my seminary studies, I got married in 2005, April 2005. I got married to Nkesa Mercy Va from Abu. So, but we got married in Bingo, and we have 3 children: Efimbom, Zuzumbom, and Akwensambom. 2 girls and 1 boy. Yeah.
Okay, now let's get to talk about your Christian life. When did you have an encounter with Jesus Christ? You grew up as a moralist, and one day you accepted Jesus as your Savior and Lord. When did this happen?
I received Christ in 1990 when I was already in high school in GH's womb, through the pastor of the church by then, Zion Baptist Church womb by then. I was Reverend Mandeng Elias from womb. He's now in Bafusam, but that was the person who led me to Christ. I stayed in the parsonage. When I went to school, he saw how morally good I was. I stayed at the youth center, and next to my house was the our senator's father, Reverend Fointama. Yes. So I've known the senator by then. So Reverend Fointama was there. So they took me. They gave me a house in the youth center, because the church had a youth center. They gave me a room. Then I was staying there and paying, but giving them just a little, not really paying rent. So one day when I came home from school, he sat in his office in that youth center, and then he called me, and I was entering. He asked me, "Hey Joel," he made it jokingly. He said, "Suppose I was at the gate of heaven, and God asked me, would I allow you enter heaven?" I proudly told him yes. And the next question he asked me, why? And I told him, I will get to heaven because I'm a good Christian. I teach on the school. I was baptized around 1982 by Reverend Jam Semi. He's still alive. He baptized me at Mu in 1982. And then I told him that I was baptized, and I told him all the good things that I do. He told me, no, that is not the reason for you to get to heaven. The only reason to get to heaven is to believe in Jesus Christ. There and then he presented the gospel to me, and I accepted. Then after the acceptance of the gospel, he gave me a book to read, Foundation of Faith. And when I read that book, I really had I almost resigned. I almost say I will not go. When they asked me to repeat, I thought that it was better for me to go to the seminary. Okay. He told me, no, go get your A levels and go to the seminary. Okay. So I did.
And after the seminary, what next?
I graduated in 2004, June 2004, and began work in Bingo 2 Baptist Church, July 1st, the same year, 2004. Okay. And I've served in Bingo for close to 14 years. Okay. Yeah, so I got married in 2005. I was ordained in 2008 in Bingo, and then I was the pastor of the church. I served as the 3rd vice president of the Pastors Fellowship for the convention, and I also served as the secretary to the former EP, the person I succeeded. I served as a secretary to him. Jam Elijah.
Okay.
I served as his secretary, the secretary of the convention at the time. I served with him, and then I finally had served as the director of the seminary, Baptist Evangelical School of Theology, from 2010 to 2015, when I was elected the executive president.
So you were elected the executive president in 2015. 2015.
Yeah, in the general session.
Okay, for the past 8 years.
Yes.
You've been the president of the Cameroon National Baptist Convention.
Yes, I was elected in 2015, and the regulation is that you can work for 2 terms. So I was elected in 2015. Then in 2019 I was re-elected. So I've been there for 2 years, for two terms, and that's the end of my term.
Your last
term.
Okay.
In 9 months period, I will be over.
Hand it over to the next person.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Now that just brings us to the next part of this discussion, which